Sage Wanderer here, coming at you from my van down by the river. So, had a great live stream today, and it really triggered so many unanswered questions that I think I might have some fodder for some videos for a while, just answering some of the questions that were in the live stream chat that I did not get to during the live stream today. And yes, I did not give you any warning, I just decided to do it. But I wanted to give you an update because a topic came up, and I mentioned that I was a certain percentage of Congolese, or I have ancestors from the Congo, or to be more specific, I found out I'm part African American. I'm part black. And if you know my channel and you've seen a bunch of my videos, you may have seen one I did called I Was a Fake Indian, because our family narrative is that the reason my father is brown is because we are Native Americans. And but then when I did my first round of, well, the only time I submitted for the DNA testing, it came back that I was not African American at all, but I was my father's son, so it is true that he was my dad, and he was brown, but it gave me really no explanation as to why he was brown. It just gave me this kind of loose mix of different small percentages of Eastern European and some Middle Eastern and some things like that in my bloodline that might account for his color. And then I just accepted that we had the narrative wrong, that for whatever reason we thought we were Native American and we weren't. And I kind of like the Pocahontas thing, and but so when I found out that I wasn't a Native American, I kind of just quit looking at it. That was the big question. Yes, I am my father's son, and we are not Native American. And so I didn't think about it much until I started getting emails from ancestry.com. And they started telling me, okay, look, you need to go back and look at your results because we've unlocked a new testing method, and now it's allowed us to get more specific on some vague things. And so part of that mix was they were saying I was Jewish, they were saying I was Middle Eastern, they were saying I was this and that, and there were all these little amounts that led up to a portion being, a few percentage points being non-European. And but they sent me this update, and when I looked at it, it took away all of that mixture of stuff, and it just replaced it with Congolese, or from the Congo, or African American DNA. So, I mean, it doesn't freak me out or anything, because I always felt like that was in there, because we had some family history, some stories, some oral tradition that suggested that we had African American blood. And it's always been a joke as a musician. Many of you have heard me play country. You've heard me play blues. And I don't know that you've ever heard me play funk. But I've made rap records and played funk. And, a lot of the odd time signatures you find in that kind of music, and in jazz and in advanced R&B that has, polyrhythms and, songs with 17 chords, in the progression. And, but anyway, so, I've played all kinds of music, and I've been able to hold my own, standing side by side with some really gifted and talented African-American musicians. And more than once, I've been the only white guy in the band. And, but I just heard them tell me for years and years, it's been a joke with anytime I play with black musicians, is they always just shake their head. Because, I mean, I've had black drummers try to throw me off my seat. What that means is try to play a complicated, syncopated rhythm that would send most white guys into spasms, right? And I just roll it with them. And I just think that has to do with my gift. I don't think it has anything to do with my genetics. But a lot of my African-American friends thought it did. And I have been told many, many times that, look, man, you may think you're white, but let me tell you, ain't no white boy can hang with us like that. Ain't no white boy can play music like that. You got to be having some kind of ancestry in your family tree. You know what I'm saying? And they would call it a woodshed brother in the family tree. And then, so I guess I wasn't surprised when it came back. But it's really weird that first they told me I was not Native American, which we all thought we were Native American. I mean, our whole our culture is Native American. It's really weird. And then, boom, you're some other kind of weird, European gypsy mix. And then Boom. Oh, sorry, that's not real. You're actually part Congolese. So I've been doing a little studying on Congolese, and it came by way of slavery and interaction with whites and blacks in the South, somewhere in my family tree, which goes back to an ancient family story. Now, when I heard the story, the race in question was Indian, okay, specifically Cherokee, okay, and the story was there was a Cherokee boy who lived with his mother and father in a cabin in Indian territory, but this was in North Carolina, so this may date back to either before the Trail of Tears or maybe our people came after the Trail of Tears, but we always thought we came with the Trail of Tears. But that all may just be speculation, because this story was very believable with the primary characters being Native Americans, but if you switch them to African American, then the story makes just as much, if not more, sense. And either way, it explains how we got our bloodline mixed up with British royalty. This is the family story that's been passed down. And so it was told to me where the race was Native American or Indian, Cherokee. I'm going to tell you now that it was probably African American, and the people were probably recently emancipated slaves. But a young boy and his mother lived in a cabin with his father, and the father was always going away on to work. That he was a migrant worker. He would leave with the seasons and come back at the end of the seasons with money. And so a lot of times during the summertime, my ancestor and his mother were there alone. Well, since his father was gone for long periods of time, like months at a time, his mother started getting visited by a white Englishman who held the position of an earl. And the story was he was here in the United States purchasing lumber in North Carolina, wood products. He was like a buyer or a purchaser representing the crown. And so he came from royal blood, and he would come by and visit my great 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 grandfather and great 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 grandmother, right? The boy and his mother at their cabin while his father was away. When the boy got to be about 14 years old, after many years of this backdoor relationship, he began to get very offended on behalf of his father. And, Native American, or as it turns out, he must have been African American father. And so he decides that he's going to kill this adulterous Englishman that keeps coming over and having his way with his mother every time his father leaves. So he gets the family musket down from over the fireplace, and he sets up an ambush when he knows that the Englishman is coming. And when he hears the horses, because the Englishman's horse was shod, so it had a very distinct gait. And the story even goes into great detail to explain the nobility of the horse itself and the beauty of the pure-blooded black horse that he rode. And so the young boy opened the shutter on the cabin window, and as the Englishman approached, he shot him off the horse, killing him dead. His mother heard the shot, went running outside, ran to the dead Englishman who lay bleeding out on the ground. As the young boy walks up to the situation, his mother says, "What have you done? Why did you shoot him? What have you done?" And he said, "I'm tired of this adulterous man coming here and disrespecting my father and disrespecting our family, and you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be glad you're not laying there too. And he deserved to die for what he's done to the pride of our family." And the mother yells, "You fool! That man you call your father is not your father. Your father is the man who lays here dying. You just killed your own father." Don't. And that is how, I was told, our Native American blood got English royal blood mixed in. And ever since then, we've been marrying into white as we can so that we could eventually pass for white. And the goal all along in our family, down my father's side of the family, was to produce a generation that could pass for white. You're looking at the first generation of my family that's passed for white. I've always been aware of this. I've been told, as well as my sisters, that we're the first people to be born in our family to pass for white. and that everyone on my father's side of the family back for generations had been people of color, but we thought we were Native Americans. When in fact, as it turns out, from my DNA, if it's to be trusted, I'm actually Congolese. So what you're seeing is the first white man in a long line of African Americans seeking to basically marry themselves into a lighter shade until they could pass for white. And all along, I was told that we were Native Americans doing this, and that I was the first white Indian in my family. And it may turn out that I was the first white African American in my family. If that ain't a story, I don't know what is. Thanks, Ancestry.com, for confusing the heck out of us, but giving me one serious story to tell. And yeah, until next time, that's the latest on I thought I was a fake Indian, but I guess I was a real African American. But actually, I'm just a white dude. Race doesn't matter. It matters what's in your heart.